Michael Smith, and I am descended from Huntsville's earliest settlers. And I have been asked by the library to give a talk on the business district, downtown business district, doing integration, focusing on Jefferson Street, Holmes Street, and Church Street, what became known as the Black Business District. And I want to give you my format first of all. I will give an early history of downtown Huntsville. I have 4 panelists who will give different aspects of their memories of Huntsville. I will then open it up to the audience to give their 2 or 3 minute history, memory of shooting pool or going to the picture show or dancing at the jukebox at one of the cafes in downtown Huntsville. We are videotaping this, so I hope that you will stand up and understand the videotaping is you are standing in front of the microphone instead of the video camera, is your permission for us to use your image, okay? All right, and the question is, what is a black business district? Is it the owners of the business, or are they the customers that you focus, that the business caters to? And the further question is, why did the Black Business District focus on Church Street, Holmes Street, and Jefferson Street? The 1859 map of the city of Huntsville shows Church Street. Now, people think Church Street was named for the 4 churches that were on Church Street, but Church Street's name predates the churches on Church Street. In fact, the 1859 map shows only 1 church on Church Street, and it is called the West African Church, or the African Baptist Church. It may be where St. Bartley comes from, I don't know, I'm not sure, but it eventually becomes the Cumberland Presbyterian Church on Church Street. And so you have that, and then you also have the Catholic Church over on Jefferson Street. Now, they are approximately a block apart. You have in the 1859 map a livery stable on Gallatin Street at Holmes Street, the southeast corner of Gallatin at Holmes. This livery stable was owned by John Robinson. John Robinson was born about 1810. His father went to the Alabama State Legislature in 1829 to have him emancipated. The Alabama law said in order to emancipate your child, essentially the father was the father of John Robinson, he went to what I think was Catawba down in western Alabama, and thereby got John Robinson emancipated. John Robinson eventually opens a livery stable. Now, this livery stable is a place where horses and carriages are housed, and also probably fed and washed and cleaned and the whole 9 yards, because that was the way in which you traveled back then. And then Church Street maybe becomes the place for the development of the Black Business District, because it was the site in 1855 of the Memphis and Charleston Railroad. And the depot was put up in 1860. And that section of the city was not well populated. It may have become the Black Business District because it was full of what became known a century later as ethnics. Ethnics being Irish, Italians, Jews, Catholics, and African Americans. And so you had the beginning of this history with John Robinson and the African Baptist Church and the railroad depot. In 1860, John Robinson ran a livery stable. Richmond Terrell was born in 1800, and he was a barber and he ran a barber and a bath shop on what is now the north side of the square in Huntsville. He had a son named William Terrell, who had a barber shop in the basement of the courthouse, to show you the racial integration. And these are all freed blacks, not many freed blacks, in Madison County. You had over 14,000 blacks in Madison County. 164 of them were freed. So you have a very small percentage of them. You also have on Gallatin Street, near what is now the utility building, in 1870s, 60s, 70s, the Freedmen's Bank, which was run by Lafayette Robinson, the son of John Robinson. So that is why this becomes the black business district, because so many businesses are there. However, when we talk about a black business district, we talk about the owners. But there were many blacks all over the city. And as I go through the history, you will see these blacks. It also becomes the black business district because southeast Huntsville is the slaveholders district. Think about that. In southeast Huntsville, you have 2 Presbyterian churches in 2 blocks of each other. Now that's a rare thing anywhere, and certainly in the South. You have a Methodist church a block away. You have a Episcopal church a block south of there. So all of these are the places where the rich hang out, or the slaveholders go. The Baptist church are up on the one Baptist church, Enon Baptist, which eventually becomes First Southern Baptist, is over on Clinton Street, West Clinton, at Gallatin. And so these are the less rich people, essentially. And so that's why you get this black business district opposite the so-called rich district. Okay. Now I'm going to cite for you the 1859 city directory. And I told you that John Robinson had a livery stable, and that Terrell and Richmond had a barber shop and a bathhouse. Now, all of those are mulattoes. In the 1899 Wilkins city directory, we're on Home Street. Home Street was divided by Washington Street in that day. We divide Home Street by Jefferson in today. But then you had, going east, you had a number of blacks, including G.F. Burkheitz, H-E-I-T-S, Burkheitz, which sounds to be a German name. But he had a colored saloon in what is now the Belk Hudson and Huntsville Times part of the city on Home Street. You had the Derrick brothers. Some of you here may be related to the Derrick brothers. The Derrick brothers were tie works, those people who did tying and dyeing and tanning. Okay, and you also had Home Street going west from Church, from Washington. You have all the Dunnigans. You have C.R. Dunnigan, who's running a pool room where the Yarborough Hotel is essentially. You have C.R. Steele, who's doing beer in that same location. You have A. Dunnigan going across Jefferson, what becomes known as the Black Business District, 202 Jefferson. You have A. Dunnigan, who is a barber, 1899. You have F. Felix Wheaton, who is a shoemaker. You have Lula Terrell, likely the daughter or the wife of William Terrell, who's living across the street where Organ Sparks drugstore eventually becomes. And what I'm talking right now is that section on your right coming this way, okay, in the picture. You have S.W. Boyd, a colored man, who is a shoemaker. Shoes are very important because that's the first way to get around. Of 3 popular ways: walking, riding, and getting on the railroad. Okay. And you also have W. White, who's a grocer at the 218 block of that shop we just saw. You have the Dunnigan and McCants, who are barbers. You have H. Betts in the 300 block, going across Gallatin, coming towards church. You have H. Betts, who's a shoemaker. You have William Bailey on the other side of the street, who's a blacksmith. You have, going across Miller Street, you have Shanklin, who's a grocer, okay? And all the time you had this general mix of Irish and Jews and Italians and Anglo-Saxons too. But that's the distinction. All right, now we go to Church Street in the 1899 census, 1899 city directory. And we have a number of people there. 208 Church Street is a restaurateur. You have 213, which is across the street, essentially where the sweet shop eventually was. You have A. Roberts, who runs an ice cream parlor. You have 214 over here by the Princess Theater. You have R.W. White, who runs a wood yard. Again, you got to heat the house. And then you go to 230 Church Street, where that West African Baptist Church was. You have the Cumberland Public Institute, which is the school that was run by the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. You have next to that the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. In the next block, you have Rison's Chapel Methodist Episcopal Church, which you know now as Phillips Chapel. Okay, and that's about it on Church Street. So again, you got black and whites living all together in this scheme. Okay, I go now to the 1922 directory to show you the changes. And I'm now on Jefferson Street. There was a pictograph theater, ran silent movies, 207 Jefferson Street, which is next door to the Catholic Church, St. Mary's of the Visitation. It was run by Benjamin Blackburn, who was the proprietor. Next door to that was Citizens Drugstore, West Holmes and Jefferson Street, that was owned by Mrs. Evangeline Herndon Spillman's father. And in fact, the Herndons, who came here about 1880 from Mississippi, came because of the First Baptist Church. It wasn't known as First Baptist, it was called Steel Street at that point. And so that's how they come to town. Evangeline's grandfather, A.J. Herndon, runs a clothing store on Church Street. Howard Chippy Roper's father and some other man ran a tailoring, pressing, cleaning shop. You had Lawyer Henley, C.V. Henley, called by his title, not by his, Lawyer Henley was an attorney at 302 and a half Church Street. Lawyer Henley came out of Howard Law School in 1916. He was a member of the Benford family, whose houses sit right behind us here. Leroy Lowry had two pool halls, 106 Holmes Street and 142 Holmes Street. William L. Fearn, Bill Fearn, to some of us from old Huntsville, was a blacksmith, and he had a blacksmith shop in the 222 block of East Holmes Street, essentially where the parking lot in that new high-rise is now, Tar Towers. You had people galore who were doing different things. You had eating houses run by Benjamin Blackburn, 205 Jefferson Street. You had the Cedar Garden Cafe, 126 and a half West Holmes Street. You had Howard Lanier, if any of the Laniers are here, who ran a cafe at 132 West Holmes Street. You had insurance companies. Atlanta Life was on the corner of West Holmes and Jefferson Street. Union Mutual was on the corner of West Holmes and Jefferson. Mississippi Life was 128 and a half West Holmes. North Carolina Life was on the corner of Holmes and Jefferson. And Union Central Relief Association was 302 and a half Church Street. You had physicians. E.A. Harris was at Holmes and Jefferson. Charles Nall was at Holmes and Jefferson. You had shoeshine parlors. Amos Barnes at Church near Holmes, and you had William Jackson at 132 West Holmes. You had shoemakers, shoe repair men, C.W. Boulware at West Clinton Street, and you had S. Lowe at 602 Madison, which is down in the Grove, not the Grove, Georgia. And you had Felix Wheaton at 122 West Holmes. So these are among the different businesses that were in Huntsville during that early period.